Hi, everybody. Welcome to the GARF Network. This is GARF 247, and I am Eric.
I'm Matt. How are you tonight, bud?
Doing good. It's been a minute since we've gone live. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about what we've got going on tonight?
Well, tonight I'm excited because I got a longtime friend, Scott Goldberg, is getting ready to release his first feature-length film, The Forest Hills. Scott's been working on it for quite some time. Exciting to hear what he's got planned. Talk about some insights on the film. Obviously, it was the return to filmmaking for Shelley Duvall, but we're gonna bring Scott on here in a little bit and kind of get hyped because the film's getting ready to drop here in a couple of weeks across the nation in theaters and some film festivals. So it'll be a good chance to hear from Scott and get some background information and hopefully folks will go out and see it because again, it's independent filmmaking and that's one of the best types of filmmaking out there, and I'm excited to share in his success.
Before we bring Scott on, though, we want to go ahead and we want to do kind of a trailer reaction. So let's go ahead and run that trailer, and we'll see you back in a couple minutes.
Okay.
Now you all have to be very careful of the beasts out here. I'm not gonna tell you what kind they are, because every single time I tell the locals, they'll just laugh at me like I'm some sort of a clown. And I know I'm not crazy. There's a deep, animalistic, non-human instinct only I can feel. I need to see bloodshed.
I think right now we should start talking about making you as comfortable as possible. Make sure your quality of life is as good as it can be.
I guess Rico's gonna have to get me a casket. Do you remember I locked you and your sister in the car?
I need to get help from my brother.
I understand he was seen twice by two of our workers.
Rico! What did you do to me?
You're in deep shit right now.
All right.
Hmm.
We are back.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's your, well, I mean, we've seen it a couple times now, but so what are your thoughts?
I'm a sucker for, I don't want to call it backwoods in a derogatory term, but something in the woods. Seems like there's going to be something out there, and it looks, practical effects are such a big deal.
Yeah, practical effects. That's the thing that leaps out to me is, and it's not common these days, unfortunately. So, and I don't think I think it feels like we're just seeing kind of the tip of the iceberg. There's more.
Yeah,
more
yeah. I saw
people.
some sort of transformation going on that I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna see where this is going. I'm excited. I'm a sucker for these types of movies. They're to me they're just fun. When I say easily digestible, like I'm gonna sit and watch it and see where it takes me. I'm excited to hear some of the background from Scott because I don't. Again, this might be the only, after tonight I probably won't watch the trailer again because I like to go in not remembering too much about it because I'm one of those, like, I want to be engrossed on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to be like looking for stuff and trying to figure it out before I get there.
Trying to
So
fill the pieces in from the trailer.
Yeah.
I know what you
Yeah.
mean. I'm not a trailer guy in that way too.
Yeah.
But what I can take out of it, it's plenty wet. It's in a good way, and it's got a great cinematic look to it, and
Mm-hmm.
and then the return of Shelley Duvall as well as
Edward Furlong.
Edward Furlong, and
Yeah.
Also, Dee Wallace Stone plays a role in it. I don't think she was in this trailer, but
Yeah, and Felissa Rose and Stacey
Melissa
Nilkin.
Rose, that's right. That's right.
You know, so
But,
we got,
but it also it's not doesn't feel like there's going to be a comedic edge to this one. This has got a serious tone throughout. It's not going to be a film that I think lets up. On the horror.
It's not going to hold back. It knows what it's going for, and I appreciate that. It's going to be one of those where I think Scott has a consistent tone throughout. It's not going to try to switch gears on us. I think we're gonna we're gonna strap in, and I think after a few minutes we're gonna be engrossed. So that's good for me.
I dig the soundtrack too. It was set a good mood. I like it.
Yeah.
So
well, we've been talking about him.
Yeah. What do you think?
I think we should bring on I think we should bring Scott on, because there he is. Hey, bud.
How you doing, Scott?
I'm too big. There we go. Let's put the man front and center.
Yeah.
No, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate you coming on GARF Network, and thanks for sharing the trailer with us too. And we've been, Matt and I have been following you for a bit on social media and elsewhere, and it's super exciting to see you basically put this together right in front of our eyes. And it's debuting theatrically on October 5th. Is that correct?
October 4th, and then it kind of depends. Yeah, some days it'll be the 4th for the weekend, and some days it'll be for a week or 2 weeks. So it's a limited theatrical run that we put together independently. So just still working on some other places. So if there aren't places that show up on the website, tfhscreenings.com, we'll be sure to get some more places soon. We're still talking to some theaters and chains. Yeah.
And this being your first theatrical feature, you don't really necessarily have experience with doing this. How is this, or I assume you don't, so how has this been, just navigating this whole booking process and getting your work out there?
Sure. So I did a feature-length docudrama, but it was just solo, independent. I always do independent stuff since short films inspired by Romero from early 2004 or so. So I've done a lot of stuff that just made some festivals and stuff, and then life gets in the way. You get married and have a child and stuff. So in 2018 I did a docudrama called Off the Grid: Survivalism and Frugality. It's it's 80-minute feature, but nothing as far as a crew-based thing where we have a bunch of crew and camera people coming in and lighting equipment and everything. So that was new. So the process, it's instead of film festivals, the process is more of how do you get a film into theaters. So the process that I've learned is you got to contact the theaters and you tell them you want a 50-50 split or whatever split. Sometimes it's 35 that the filmmaker gets and 65 in favor of the theater. And you tell them you don't want any rentals. So rentals is what's going to sink a film. When you're an independent film, you're not really well known, and you're doing it independently. There's a potential for the film to be a failure, whether it's the theaters don't promote it, or you don't have enough promotional material, like reels nowadays for Instagram and YouTube shorts and things like that, and also a fan base. So building up a fan base initially prior. But yeah, so the process is long, and booking the theater could be extremely tough. But you basically tell them you want a revenue share deal or a 50-50 split or whatever the split's going to be, and you do not do rentals because, like I said, that's going to sink you financially. So the process is then you try to find chains that are going to play your theater. Some going to want to do a one-night event. Some will agree to a weekend and to extend from there. So that's kind of how the process started, like Showcase Cinemas, which is also used to be called National Amusements. They had interest, and RC Theaters in Pennsylvania, Cineplex, which used to be one in Long Island, Cineplex Odeon, that I grew up loving. Now they no longer have it in Glen Cove or Long Island or the US, I don't believe. So it's all in Canada. So trying to connect with the people who are booking these theaters and going from that type of route. So it's really just a DIY, contacting people, and it just takes a while. It's going to take months, but there's a team of people who are going to want to watch it. They're going to want to watch the screener and see the film. and then kind of have negotiations on if it's something they could fit in their schedule, because October can get pretty packed. I mean, you got Joker, you got Terrifier 3 and all these other films as well. So it's just about finding that right mix of locations.
What's been one of the most rewarding things with making this film for you?
Definitely working with Shelley Duvall, I'd say, because obviously, as we know, she was out of the limelight for so many years, and obviously, as time goes on, I learned more about her process and why she left, because her brother was diagnosed with cancer, so she moved back to Texas, and I think that had a big thing to do with it. But there's a lot of misconceptions also about like Kubrick, right, and The Shining, and like that he like broke her and stuff like that, and she did a lot of acting after that, so I know that's like a myth to a degree that people say, but working with her, working with Edward Furlong, like I've said in the Q&A once, I said one time, because we did one screening in New Jersey at Kevin Smith's Modcastle Cinemas, I said on in the Q&A, I said, I remember like sitting in the theater in my hometown, like watching Terminator 2 on the big screen, and like literally having popcorn and soda and relating to John Connor, relating to that kid. So as you start casting your own movie and you have a casting agent, right? We have a casting agent, but like the people who I wanted to work with are the people that I've looked up to and thought it would be pretty cool to work with. So it just kind of came down to the process of trying to get the funding together and work with these people. So there was always rumblings of Shelley being involved when we started filming, like because of the conversations, but her unfortunately she was unable to travel, so she couldn't travel to the Catskills or upstate New York. She just couldn't get on a plane due to her foot issue, her physical health. So she couldn't get out here. So we ended up trying to.
Oh,
sorry, I had an alarm that went off on my phone. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, my alarm went off my phone, so that's why it cut me off. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yep, we got you.
Yeah.
I don't hear you guys, so might have to reboot. I'm very sorry about that. But let me, if you want, I'll talk a little bit about the film. Is that okay? We'll just kind of have a conversation.
Sure. Go for it.
Okay, so working with Shelley Duvall, that whole process was really nice. So, in the theatrical and doing the movie and continuing through creating the film was a process we initially started off in it was going to be shot in Michigan, and there was a producer I was talking to, and the producer unfortunately had a lot of very odd behaviors. It was just a very stressful situation because we just couldn't see eye to eye. It was a different film. It was called The Forest Hills, but it was a different concept about an urban, as Matt knows, we both love the Blair Witch. So a little bit taken from that, but like an urban legend of like an old hag in the woods and this young female filmmaker, right? Okay, I know we're getting pretty close to the Blair Witch, I know. But the difference was, as that's inspired by that, the difference is that there's a horror convention happening, and this girl, Kate, who's the young filmmaker, has lived in her mother's basement for all these years. She's 20 years old. Her mother is very controlling. And she befriends this washed-up actor named Vernon. And he's this washed-up actor who like literally doesn't have anyone sign his autographs at conventions, but he was in a lot of like, big-time horror films 30, 40, 50 years ago. He's in the 70s. So she befriends him, and they have this unique friendship where he wants to help her make her documentary, but he's living in his van, and there's just this paranoid aspect of Kate's mother, kind of he's living in his van, becoming like very suspicious. Who's that guy in his van? You can't leave. Like, what are you doing? All this stuff. So, and we unravel this story centered around the urban legend of this old hag in the woods and how she murdered the townsfolk. So again, we always take a little something, but from stuff like that, but from Blair Witch. So anyway, so the process was we had to figure out the story, So because of the reason that it was 2 weeks ago, the lead actress just got into a car accident where a deer hit her windshield and she was in the hospital, so she can't run around and play this role of Kate. She didn't even know the lines, so it was a whole just screwed up situation. So I told my producer Scott Hansen, who's with Digital Thunderdome Productions, and he said, why don't you come down to Atlanta? Bring the film down to Atlanta. Let's do something different. I said, well, why don't you come to New York? And he said, fine. So in April of 2022, I started writing the script, which is now The Forest Hills. It started out as a script, and just the idea of Rico, the character Rico, running through the woods. There's a dead victim, and there was always an idea of a cabin and isolation. So that's kind of where everything started. So the process of shooting the film was just a lengthy process because it took a while. The first 2 weeks, and then we had reshoots. So that takes time for all that stuff to happen. So. And then Shelley coming on after the initial 2 weeks, and then this is very interactive. So since I can't hear you guys, I'm getting questions from Matt in the chat. Thank you for that. What was one of the most fun aspects of filming? Just I was sick the first 2 weeks. Like I definitely had something. I don't know if it was bronchitis or something. I didn't feel great, but I was excited. Everything led up for months to wanting to film in September of 2022, and it was just the process of just like getting excited about it and continuously shooting for those 2 weeks. And the first 2 weeks was pretty rough because it was more of a drama. The one thing that I learned that I didn't expect to was I guess it would. Yeah, I mean, shooting with Dee Wallace was interesting, I will say, because that was quite a hiccup in everything. Not many know, but Dee Wallace had to travel from Los Angeles. We lost her trailer. We were supposed to have a trailer, and she didn't have much sleep. She didn't even eat by the time she got to set, and she was pretty aggravated. But she was ready to go. My producer says Dee Wallace is ready to go. She wants, she's like, you guys got to be ready. She's ready to go. So what I thought was going to be a great experience working with Dee Wallace ended up being very stressful because of the lack of, I was given the wrong information at the time. And then she wasn't given the correct sides. Like the week before, we had different sides. So there was a lot of like stress that day, but just thinking like, I'm thinking to myself, I want to work with Dee Wallace. I want to work with, the mother from E.T. I grew up on seeing that movie. So that was a pretty funny thing about that was that just the experience was a little hectic that one day, but we got through it, and we had lunch. We had lunch with my producer Elliot and me and her, and it was nice. So we kind of talked it out. So, what can people expect from The Forest Hills? Just The Forest Hills was shot with a lot of fake blood and only what we had. We didn't have a lot of budget. The budget ended up being $250,000, but we didn't have the proper budget for anything other than like fake knives, fake hammer, a lot of blood, and just thinking about what can be suspenseful, what can be something that pushes this film along to where it's completely dark. And there are some comedic moments. So I do want to say I heard you guys what you said before. There are some comedic moments. Unintentionally, because we had a screening in 2023 at Small Castle Cinemas, and there's a sequence where Rico has a thing of peanut butter, a jar of peanut butter, and he puts a knife in, he starts dancing with it, and there's a very important dialogue. And I guess because it was so tense, all the scenes prior, the theater bursted out laughing, which is pretty fucking hilarious. But it wasn't intended to be that. But I realized that anything can happen in a theatrical setting. You can set it up to be what you expect it to be, and what it's a serious moment. He's saying something very serious about losing oneself and trying to remember about and wanting to be the old person he was, but everyone drowning out that dialogue because of the laughing. So there's some funny parts, just unintentionally, like Edward Furlong, some funny parts on what he does, but we did cut down a lot on that. And I do give a nod to Romero for that, because as you know, like Romero had those little things in his movies, like where Charlotte Conroy, for example, when he like tries to drink from the flask and there's no more left, and he's like, and he like throws it, So like I don't know, I definitely feel like I'm influenced by Romero to a degree, and just love his movies. So it's really cool what you guys are doing as far as like keeping his memory alive and doing this and everything. It's really, really awesome. So it's getting, besides in the chat, it's getting a physical media release, yes. It's important in 2024 because I think there's still a lot of people who collect Blu-rays and DVDs. Now the Blu-rays are, to a bigger extent, better, I feel, because it has special features, and you can't get that on digital, and streaming, right? We always hear all the time, streaming comes and goes. You get a film, you think you own it, but you download it to your TV or whatever if you purchase it, but you don't own it. You're not owning physical media. I mean, as you guys know, right, like the situation with like Dawn of the Dead, right? It's like you can't find it anywhere because of the whatever legal, maybe legal stuff that was going on in the past, but it's really hard to find unless you find it like on a DVD. It's extremely hard. I mean, I don't even know if I don't even think there's a Blu-ray of it, but the process of physical media is crucially important nowadays because you need to have a physical disc in your hand in order to own it. So I think streaming has definitely been good to a degree, but it's also been bad because now people are going to the theaters less. And I feel like people are missing that communal experience of trying to, get together and see a movie together and enjoy it together and just laugh and cry and feel it all together. We were missing that. And back in the 90s, theaters were packed. Sorry about that. My alarm went off again. I guess it goes off every 10 minutes. Don't know if I stalled or not, but every decade it seems to get less and less, especially with COVID. Really got worse. If you guys want to chat for a minute, I'll log back on, and then I'll probably connect. So should I just do? I'll just do that. Is that okay? And that way
Sounds good.
You guys. Okay. I'll log back on. Thanks.
No worries. All right. Dang it, you got me big here. Whoa. Now I can't hear you, Matt. What's going on? Hello. I'm all alone here. What's going on? Well, this is called you back, buddy?
What's going on?
Oh, there he is. Yes, sir. Oh shoot, that was quick. Scott's already back.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me? No? You can't hear me? Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yeah.
I can't hear you now. I'm having the same issue as Scott did.
Live TV, folks.
Boy, we're having all sorts of fun here tonight, folks. Let's we're gonna keep going. I can't stop here.
Yeah.
But now it's not working for me.
Anywho, while we wait for Scott to come back, there is, as he said, says the Forest Hills premieres on Friday, October 4th. You can use this. You can use the URL that's currently on the screen to check out screenings in your area, and you can also check out watchtheforesthills.com to have a look at the trailer. You back? No, I don't hear you now. Now I don't hear you. You can hear me, but I don't hear you. Let's see if we hear Scott. Hang on.
I'm here. Oh, now
now we're here. Here.
And I can hear you too now.
All right. Oh, well, I was muted. I don't know. Sorry, folks. This is what I love about this. We can have technical difficulties and still have some fun. So
all good.
Scott, I think with the physical media thing, thank you for doing that. I know that's probably an added level of stress, but to me, I feel it's very important as a fan and a collector that we get to own this. Like you said earlier, I can pull this off the shelf. I can watch it. I noticed there's 2 commentaries, so thank you for the commentaries.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a junkie for those, as people know. But yeah, I really do appreciate the detail of just deciding to do a physical media release, because I think that's going to help the longevity and visibility of the film.
Right.
Because we like to touch stuff. We're tangible. We're that type of species. We want to pick it up. We want to look at it on the shelf. So, again, thank you for that. I don't know if I'll ever be able to stress that enough.
No, I appreciate that. Yeah, physical media was definitely important because you gotta be able to own a copy. And I felt like there's people out there who still, right, like we all love physical media and whatnot. So I think adding features on it and rich features would really help. I tried to get Shelley Duvall interview, but ended up not working, unfortunately. But I think that would have been her first one that she would have ever done. I don't think she's ever done commentary for anything. I'm not, unless I'm unaware of that. But that's definitely a missed opportunity we regret. But she wasn't doing well, so it wasn't mental; it was physical. Like her foot, she was having issues, and obviously because of her diabetes. So,
I mean that's been a big thing too, and I mean I know a lot of people are gonna talk about that. It's the return of Shelley to not just horror but film. So thank you for bringing her back, because I know she is and was very loved and endeared by a lot of people, and I think that's going to come through in the film.
Cool. Yeah, I always tell people about Shelley. It's like people always ask, like, "Are you like like how do you feel about working with Shelley?" And it's like I kind of separate it because Shelley of today does not look like Shelley of the '80s or The Shining, so it's so easy to separate that. And I think that's kind of what. Yeah, I didn't think of her as like, oh my God, it's Shelley Duvall from The Shining. I looked at it as like Shelley from now. So it was just a weird way, like, I don't know, I guess to kind of like not freak out about it. It was just, but it was just interesting to kind of go through that process of kind of realizing that, it's because of how she looks and how different she looks, it's not, it didn't feel like stressful or anything like that. She was very sweet, very kind.
Yeah.
So, how crucial was it to having Shelley and Edward on board to getting your film recognized? I mean, because I know that's a big cliff for independent filmmakers to jump. Or hurdle to get over. It's like, do I spend that money, get that actor? Is that going to make the difference? How has that affected the Forest Hills?
Yeah. I mean, so Shelley Duvall's involvement, I mean, I think that's what made the film, honestly. I'm going to be honest. Like, her involvement really catapulted the film into another level. Whereas, Edward Furl, like Dee Wallace, I mean, I didn't realize it, but she does like over 200 films, or, I mean, it's a lot from what I saw, maybe 300. I'm not sure the number, but she does a lot. And it seems like whenever she promotes a movie, it's typically going to be, and she talks about, it's going to be Cujo, or E.T. or one of those films. So Edward was really cool and chill and down to earth. There's a lot of fans, and I think a lot of people might not know that. Like, he has fans all over the world. I mean, people freak out about Terminator 2, and and I'm one of those fans. Brain Scan I really like a lot. I think that's a really cool dark film, and a little cheesy with some of the sci-fi stuff, and the graphics are little. I mean, the graphics are the cheesy part. It's just very outdated, but really cool film. I mean, and so yeah, having them in the film definitely I think helps. But especially Shelley, that's probably the only reason why there's so much interest in it, which is good because we wanted to tell a good story, and we feel like we have. So it's up to the audience to decide, of course, on that. So yeah.
I finally got to meet Edward last year for the first time, and he's signing my Terminator 2 poster, and I'm like, you were in my friend's movie, Forest Hills, Scott Goldberg. I was talking to him more about you than I was Terminator 2, so I was, I was just kind of using that as a connection just to get him to talk, and he had very nice things to say, and I was excited, and I think I'll see him in a couple of weeks, again at Monster Mania. So I'll try to talk to him more about Forest Hills and whatnot, But yeah, no, I mean, I was excited when you were like, Dee Wallace, Felissa Rose, Stacey Nelkin, Ed Broom. You kind of come out of the gate swinging on this one.
Right. I agree.
And I appreciate that, because I think, as fans, we know these people.
Right.
And we've grown up with them. And it's nice to see, one, that they're working, and two, that they're like, this is a first-time filmmaker, and I like it enough that we're going to go on here and do this. So I think it adds a lot of legitimacy to a first-time filmmaker,
right?
And I think that their talent is going to not only show, but I think go towards endearing younger fans. Like, my daughter's 13, so she may be watching Forest Hills, and she may be like, I think I know that person. And I'm like, oh, well, that's the mom from E.T., or that's, from Sleepaway Camp or whatever, and I think it's nice to see that we have the ability now with folks like you that we can continue to bring these people into our homes for new generations.
For sure. I mean, Stacey Nelkin. I mean, my wife and I watch Halloween 3 every Halloween or around that time, and I mean, that's I love that Carpenter tried to do something different, with that. Obviously, after the second one, that he obviously didn't want to write, Halloween 2. Although I still like Halloween 2. It's, I know he doesn't think very fondly of it, but Marion Hagen from Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers, who played Kara Strode. She's got a little cameo in it. So just people who and I know these people from like social media, so it's like contacting them and and because of Shelley's involvement. I mean, that's the reason why they came on board, because of Shelley. So I don't know. It's just so weird. It's just very weird to after like 20 years of just doing like indie stuff and short films and like not having anything recognized, to like kind of because of Shelley, I guess it's really cool to see that if I were to have Shelley in a film 20 years ago, I would not be happy about it, because you advance as a filmmaker, you learn your process. Like I was doing a lot of Romero stuff. Like early on, I did a thesis that was a zombie film. The teacher said, pick a superhero concept and do it. So I had this idea of this janitor and this woman who's working at this like school late at night, and their place gets invaded by zombies. So very inspired by like Dawn of the Dead. So. And then and Dave and the night they came back, which is a short film I did in 2005, inspired by Romero and the Day of the Dead style type of zombies. So instead of like the white makeup and gray makeup, things like that, we did more prosthetics. So you learn. And one of my friends at the time, Chris Garitano, he told me, he said, because I said, I want to show George I want to meet George. I want to show my my zombie film. And he's like, I don't know. So what do you mean? He's like, people try to show him a zombie film, do something. And this guy was like, he said stuff like, do something different, find your voice, do something creative. And he said, I don't think George wants to see another zombie film. Maybe he wants to see something new, because everyone's showing him zombie films. So so that little planting of seeds, saying, well, what is my voice? Back in like the early 2000s, and like making 2 zombie films and saying, well, what should I say? How can I find my voice? How can I find my directing style? So over the time, I feel like it all accumulates to that moment where The Forest Hills ends up being that moment where there's an opportunity, and to try to do something original, and also I guess Shelley's involvement just ended up being part of that.
I do want to acknowledge some of your past work. I know you best for your featurette that you did about the Day of the Dead mines. That was incredible, and it was really neat to see. I think you part of it included a person that worked at the mines from back in the day, and no, I enjoyed that, and I've been a long time fan of Dead Pit since their inception, so I've been aware of you from afar since back then. So it's amazing to see you putting something out in theaters now that's got the profile that it does. And I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, I've seen the trailer, and I don't know, I've got a good feeling about this one, Scott. I'm crossing my fingers and can't wait to see it.
Appreciate that. Yeah, Dead Pit. I mean, Wes and Aaron, Creepy Tucky, Uncle Bill. I mean, what can you say? They're great. And I remember doing an interview with them a long time ago about the Forest Hills. It was a different version though, but it was like a short film. But yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, theatrical run is very difficult. You never know, right? Like you put a movie in the theaters and you just don't know. You just don't know if it's gonna blow up or not. And so it's a process and it's stressful. But as filmmakers, we're the only ones that are in charge of what we're going to do. There's no one else, doing anything for us. You can only do as much as you decide. And if you don't, if you're a lazy filmmaker, you don't do anything, you're not going to get good results. I mean, sometimes there's luck, and if you get a film out there, it just could blow up. And sometimes if you do a lot of work and you're putting a lot of time and days and weeks and months, and it doesn't do anything, there's never like a quick solution or a one size fits all solution on making a success. And it just has to jive with the audience, and it has to be something that I feel, like Terrifier too, right? Like that. I mean, what did that make? Like $8 to $10 million. I mean, it was crazy. I mean, it was insane. Like an independent film I think shot on an under $300,000 budget, made 250, you know, and like, and getting the hype that it did, you know, and whatnot. So, you know, it's really cool to see that. And so that kind of inspired me seeing Terrifier 2 and saying, well, if that can blow up, maybe this can blow up. So, but you know, you never know. You just try your best and try to make it the best it could be.
Yeah. And like Eric was saying, you know, he's known you from this. I mean, you and me go back, you know, quite a while. You know, it was, I think you and me had the initial conversation of doing what now has become the Blair Witch Experience, you know, all those years ago, and you know, and look what that's become. So I mean, we've been, you know, friends for quite some time, and I always enjoy seeing friends succeed, not just making a movie, but I mean, dude, you made a movie and you got it in the theater, you're getting it out on physical media. Like, I can't be more proud of you. You know, just to see what you've done, and you know, following all the posts with just filming and everything going through it. You know, I think I kind of asked this when you were having some audio issues. Is, you know, what is something about Forest Hills that people may not know that you want them to?
Well, before I get into that real quick, I just want to say how amazed I am at the initial conversation where you're like, let's get together and like, you know, maybe go to the woods and like watch the Blair Witch Project. And like, you took that concept and fucking ran with it. And like, I'm really amazed that what you built, and like the fact that, you know, Eduardo Sanchez and getting other people involved, and Josh and Mike. I mean, just really, seriously. I mean, and I always say every year, I'm like, I want to come down, but life gets in the way, you know. And it's like, maybe this year, it already passed this year, right? Did it just happen? Or
No, it's in just about 4 weeks.
Okay, that was a screening though. There was a screening, I think, at the.
There was a screening in Burkittsville last week.
Yes, very nice, right. So I just want to say that for you, and much, you know, kudos to that, man. Seriously.
Thank you.
So what was the question? I forgot.
What's something about Forest Hills that you want people to know that they may not get from the trailer or just by going to the website? Like something extra for folks to know.
We shot it on a budget that, you know, enabled us to be creative, and we just, you know, we didn't have a lot. And I think that made it more creative, and it made us focus more on tonality of a story rather than craziness and blood, although there is a lot of that. But you know, we focus more on the trying to get the proper tone. You know, like Carpenter has a tone, Romero has a tone. You know, it's up for people to kind of let me know what they think the tone is of this movie, right? But like, if you go to like Romero, right, and Day of the Dead, and like Kubrick, like I put those films together because there's such a feeling of claustrophobia in like both of those films, and they have the sounds of like the wind in The Shining, and like, you know, and it just feels like they are stuck. And in Day of the Dead, same thing. Even though you have an outside world, and you have the helicopter pad and stuff, and the zombies outside the fences, you still feel like there's hopelessness. And I feel like both of those films have a certain tone. And then the other one of my favorites is Halloween, has a tone. There's something about it makes it feel like it's Halloween night. It feels so realistic because you're seeing the kids trick-or-treating outside while the boogeyman's in the back. You know, I think that was Deborah Hill, I think, right? In one of those shots. I think. I've heard. Yeah. So, I mean, was that Deborah Hill? Do we know? Or I know there's a rumor that was her. Or do we know or no?
Which shot are we talking about?
In Halloween, when Tommy Doyle looks out the window and the kids are running by, and he sees he sees Michael Myers in the distance in front of I think it's Annie's house. I think it was.
Yeah, it might be. I know she plays the hands in the opening scene, but I think there's like 47 people that played Michael Myers in that movie. So we can attribute most of that to probably Deborah Hill.
Yeah, of course. Especially the writing. I heard that she did all the female dialogue, all the teenager dialogue.
She did.
Yeah. I saw an interview with Carpenter at, I think it was 2022. He was in a good mood that day. Because I know sometimes I've heard, you know. But he was in a good mood that day. I think it was Steel City Con. He was down. He was there with Sandy Johnson, I think. So I saw that. I was watching that earlier today. Yeah. He's good spirits. That's good.
The checks keep coming. He's in good spirits.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, what's exciting you the most about, you know, this theatrical release coming out? Because I know you're probably nervous and you're going to be looking at the success of it, but what is exciting you about it?
Oh yeah, I'm letting you tell you something. Every day I'm looking at the listings, but you know what the funny thing is, the distribution did not yet make an announcement. They're doing a full announcement in early October of like, just the website, not the website, everything from digital to theatrical. So they'll make an announcement. So I got to stop looking at the, as filmmakers, we like look at our stuff and we're like, is anyone buying tickets? But no, the excitement of it is just, I think like I'm anticipating a good turnout. Do I think it's going to sell out every theater? No, but my friend told me, even recently, like tentpole movies, when it comes to like studio films and stuff in theaters nowadays, a lot of places are lucky if they'll fill out half the theater. I mean, it's changed so much over the last 10, 15 years, as far as the last couple of years, however long streaming's been around, it's changed so much. I mean, there are certain films that are going to draw, but you're looking at a film, if you have like a film with Shelley Duvall, it could draw or could not draw. So we don't know, but there's excitement of it being in theaters because it's her final film. And I think that's the biggest draw is like, it's her final movie, her final acting role. She's going to be on the big screen once more. So, I kind of battle as a filmmaker. Will it be a success? Will it not? So there's some days where I'm like, we could do this. It's going to be amazing. We can do it. And there's some days I'm like, shit, is this going to do anything? So you battle that, as an independent filmmaker, and you just don't know. But what you have to do as a filmmaker is set it up for success. So how do you set up for success? You need to try your hardest, and you need to figure out what are the ways that we can advertise this. Okay, vertical reels, cool. What else do we need as far as content for these theater chains and places to have? Poster, synopsis, fine, they have all that. But what about putting up a site with direct ticket links where people don't have to go to a site and search it? You have the direct links on the website like we do on tfhscreenings.com. They go directly there, and it has all the the states of where they are. It has direct links. So if you want to see it at Philomoka in Philadelphia, October 6th, you click on the link, buy the tickets. You want to see it at Showcase Cinemas, click on the link, you go directly to the Forest Hills page. You can find the theaters. So it's things like that to set up, and then I look at stuff online. I see other stuff. It's like, oh shit, we didn't do this yet. Like there's like Fandango did like a thing where people are standing in front talking about the movie and like how much they liked it, and Fandango's promoting it, and so like all these things, putting these together and trying to figure out as an independent filmmaker is a lengthy process. But you got to at least do something. You can't just sit on your hands and just say, okay, the film's done. Like that's what distributors do. Like the delusion of the filmmaker is that I'm going to get to a distributor and they're going to do stuff for me. They're going to market it. They don't. That's the problem. Like people get stuck. And I've seen it so many times with films. We had a lot of independent distributors come to us and say, we want your movie. And one wanted to give like a $60,000 MG, like a minimum guarantee up front, but they put interest on it. So we weren't going to see anything past that. We probably weren't going to see anything past that. And they take 40% of physical media and 40% of streaming. And we just decided we had a mutual friend of mine, Nick, who had a friend who came to us and said, we're filmmakers ourselves. We've been through the sales agent thing. We've been through everything. You can put your Blu-rays and DVDs, sell T-shirts. We do like 12 conventions, 6 to 12, however many it was, 8 conventions a year. We'll sell them at conventions. We'll promote it. So that kind of jived with us because, we were kind of looking and seeing that it's very thin avenue of like filmmakers getting their money back. And a lot of these distributors might, there's very well potential of them, knowing that they can take advantage of filmmakers. And that's the thing I've learned is the advantage of taking advantage of filmmakers is very high because a lot of filmmakers don't have a budget to pay for a lawyer. So when we had this one contract, one agreement, it was called a long form agreement. It was like 30 pages. My lawyer, Larry Zerner, from Prior to Part 3. But Larry Zerner, he said, you pretty much you're gonna make, if you were to go and sue them, you wouldn't even make, you'd be losing money. So because of the contract was so bad. So it's very important to not every independent film can take a route of a Terrifier or anything like that because you have to have the right mix. But you have to at least try as a filmmaker. If you don't, then you're just what's the point? Like if this is your life and you want to make it your life, you need to make it your life. Now again, I've done films where they've been hobbies. I still have a full-time job. I do weddings, wedding photography and video. So that's why I make my money. But when it comes to an opportunity like this and what came into my lap, I feel like it's something that I'm very thankful for sure. So, the industry might be going in a really weird way too with AI. So I don't know. I mean, just today there's something about Lionsgate or something. I don't know if you guys read that or not, but
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So I mean, and I see like on True Stories on Facebook, like people haven't been working in a long time. Like it's like people had to move in with their parents. People who are living on their own. It's like really sad. So it's like there's a shift in our industry. I feel to a degree. But I still do also feel that there are a lot of films that are being made. Blumhouse is making films, A24, all these studios are making films and stuff. But again, it seems like everything's being spread more thin as far as like the amount of work that's available and stuff. So it's going to be very interesting in the next 5 years to kind of see where everything heads, especially with the whole AI thing. So we'll see.
Hopefully that AI thing doesn't go that far.
It's crazy. Yeah, the stuff I've seen has been really crazy.
The pre-order for the Blu-ray goes up on September 13th. Do you have any idea what the actual street date might be for the physical media?
I think it's let's look. I think it's the 16th. It's going to be the 16th of. I think it ships on the 16th of October. So right now it's up. It's up online for pre-order. And then maybe it's the 8th. It's around that time frame. So everything's going to be announced once early October. The distributor is going to announce everything, and it's kind of be like that thing where it's like everywhere where every article is going to have the information on and stuff. So they have that all planned and ready to go. So, but it's going to be like mid October.
Okay, good.
Just in time. Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. No, Scott, I can thank you again for coming. I know we were working throughout the summer to get you on here, and I think this is the perfect time. I think
yes.
I think with the film coming out finally starting October 4th, watch foresthills.com to go see it, or tfhscreenings.com, because we want to make sure you get out and see it. It's independent film. It made it to the theaters, guys. This is something to celebrate. I think a lot of independent filmmakers want to get to this point. And Scott, I think you gave a lot of great information for folks that are going to watch this. I'm trying to make my movie. You might have given them a little bit of motivation. There's probably something in there that you may have said that's going to spark and resonate with them. It might be that missing piece.
Right.
And I think we need to celebrate that. And I know if I can't go see it in the theater, I'm going to go buy my physical copy tonight, because I need to have it on my shelf.
Appreciate
and then
that.
Whenever we get a chance in person, you're going to sign it for me, and we're going to talk. And
it's funny. I was thinking about that too, about the signatures. It's insane how expensive they are nowadays. I would probably sign for $20. I'm from the like the scene of like 2008 Bangor Weekend Apart. Everyone was charging $20. My friend Paul was charging $5. I don't even know if I charged. I'm just saying, like, it's like it's insane at this point how out of hand it's gotten, right? I mean, with the but
yeah.
But
well, when you make it to Hollywood, remember us. That's what I always say. When you make it, don't forget us. We'll do cameos. We'll be background janitors or whatever. We'll gas station attendant 1 and 2. We'll work for lunch.
It's been a fun process, and I appreciate you guys having me on, especially for talking about the film and giving me the opportunity to be a part of the show today, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Been waiting for this for a while.
All right, Scott. We're looking forward to the film, and everybody will be on the lookout on the October 4th or that weekend for a screening near you. And thanks so much, Scott, for coming on.
Thank you, guys. Have a good rest.
Thanks, brother.
All right, we'll see you guys next time on GARF 247.